Hello. A lot of people have been asking me about how they can acquire a property in Africa or the Caribbean, because I've been doing a lot of videos and shows about property investments in Africa and the Caribbean. I've had a lot of questions from all over the world about how they can acquire properties, apartments, particularly in Africa, and how they can use these to, turn it into an ATM cash machine or as an investment property in the long term. So I thought I would state a few of these for everybody. So I've put here the 5 key costs associated with property investment in Africa or the Caribbean. And so for this, I'm just going to break down the various key costs for anybody who is looking to invest in real estate in Africa or the Caribbean, particularly if you're investing in apartments. Now, there is the different types of properties, and I would go that for me, with my experience now, I'd rather go with apartments than houses. The reason is because just about last year, May, my company in Ghana, Douglas Luxury Apartments, we took up a very beautiful 3-bed house. It is a 5-bed house, but that's secluded 2 rooms away. And so they gave us the 3-bed house. And we took this on a guaranteed rent basis to add to our portfolio. Because a lot of my properties in Ghana, my own and those of other landlords, they're all apartments. And we've been doing very well with them. I thought, let me experiment with a single home that is standing there with walls around it. There's a security guy there. And I can tell you that we run at a loss on that property. The reason is because although it's in a good location, for those of you who know Accra, Ghana, it's in a place called Ajirin Gano. And Ajirin Gano is around East Legon, a very sought after area in Accra. But when people go to Ajirin Gano, this 3-bed house, it looked too big. It looked very big for them. And we initially thought that we needed to add this because we have people who are families coming from USA, Canada, UK, Europe. And so sometimes the 2-bed is not enough. So we decided to add this to our portfolio just to cater for that market. But boy, were we wrong. I remember when I asked one of my managers to go look at it, she called me in London and said, I don't think this is going to be. I said, no, we've got to do it. And she was right. Because since we took up that property, we've barely had families come to live in it. And those who've come have wanted to do parties. They want to do something, and we don't usually allow these things to happen, especially if the property is somebody else's property. We try to make sure that we take care of it. And so I'm going to go through the things that you need to look at, the costs associated with buying property investments in Africa or the Caribbean, especially apartments. I'm not talking about full single-handed homes. And so one of the things is acquisition cost. That's the main one. The acquisition cost is an influencer of pricing. Basically, the pricing, when you're talking about the pricing of the apartment you're going to buy as an investment property, whether in long-term rental or short-term rental, Airbnb, the first thing you're looking at is the location of the property, the size of the property, and then the price. Because the price is determined by the location and the size of the property. So if it's a duplex within a developed apartment, obviously the price is going to be more expensive than a duplex in a not so desirable location or central location. The size of it also matters. If it's a 2-bed, it's going to attract a different price. If it's a studio apartment, it's going to attract a different price. In fact, I've looked at a lot of the developments that are happening in Ghana at the moment, and I've seen that the studios and the 1-bed prices, they are almost not too far off. And I've come to realize that the sweetest spot in the short-term rental is the one-bed apartment. Because people like to come and have a living room area and then their bed and kitchen and all that, even if it's an open plan. Studios tend to be a bit claustrophobic for people, but it is cheaper. But so when we are talking about the pricing, we are looking at location, size, and price. And so the acquisition cost, that determines the price. Then there's legal fees and taxes. Legal fees, you're looking at the land cost, you're looking at transfer fees, and any other fees associated with the developer transferring the property into your name. And so you must be very careful and make sure that you use the right legal people. I have got my fingers burned on this one because I bought a few properties in Ghana, living in the UK, and relying on the developer to do the right thing. And little did I know that, in fact, the developer did not have the title to the land that they have built this magnificent building on. And it took me a lot of pain and research to find out and to prompt the landlord to be able to do the legals. So up till now, in fact, it took a long time until over a year of handing over until the landlord or the developer started going to make sure that the land papers were correct. And they charged me an arm and a leg. For that to be done, it cost me $1,500 per property. And they do increase it after a certain time as well. So before you buy the property, while you're buying the property, make sure that these things, you understand it. You understand what is in it for you in terms of the costing. How much are you going to pay for the property itself, based on the location, size, and of course the price is determined by that. And then how much is going to cost you for the transfer fees and also the title deeds. All of those things. Title deeds. All of those, you need to look at it. The third thing about acquisition is, how are you going to acquire the property? Are you going to self-finance? Are you going to take a mortgage? Or are you going to do a combination of mortgage, savings, and whatever financial instruments you have, whether credit cards or loans or whatever? So how you're going to finance the property also determines whether you're going to be able to get the right return on investment on it or not. I have done a mortgage for somebody recently who was buying a property in Ghana, and they did a bit of both. They did a bit of self-financing by putting a lot of deposit down, and then we did the mortgage for them. In Ghana, the interest rate on mortgages ranges from 12% to 16% on the dollar. It ranges from 12% to 16% on the dollar. So you are in between here. And I've always advised that if you are a property owner, a homeowner in UK, Canada, USA, Europe, and you have got equity in the property, my advice is release some of the equity from your home in the USA, Canada, from the West, and use that as a deposit for the property you're buying here. And that will reduce the mortgage that you need for for completion of the property. So acquisition cost is one of the key factors. Remember, this is capital intensive, this is money intensive, and here we're talking about big monies. But if you are a savvy property investor like me, you will go into property acquisition at the time that they are building. When a developer completes building, the property is looking nice, it's all painted, it's all in a nice place, the cost goes up. So the moment they start to lay the foundation, put all the billboards around, they're about to break ground, they start to lay the foundation. If you are somebody who is interested, that is the time you go and start negotiating the price of the property. It may be that completion will be 2 years or 3 years from now. If you have got the time, you can get a good bargain and buy the properties when they're building or they've just started to build. When you wait till completion, then you're going to pay the full price. And sometimes the prices are overinflated to the point that once you buy the property when it's completed, a year or two's time, it's very difficult to be able to build the equity in it because you would have bought the property at a price which was market value or maybe a little over market value. So my advice to you, buy off plan purchase. So when you buy the property off plan, you have a leverage on the price. And some people do flipping. Flipping is that they buy the property off plan and upon completion they sell it and make a profit. Easy. So people do that. So acquisition cost is one of the things you need to watch out for. The second cost is furnishing and setting up. You've bought the property hanky-dory in a nice location in St. Kitts, in Jamaica, in Kingston, or in Accra, Ghana, or Lagos. Now the property has to be furnished. The appliances, if you're lucky, the developer would put appliances in like the fridge, freezer, the washing machine, and the board, the kitchen boards, the cabinets. If you're lucky, these days a lot of developers do that. So they'll put that in. If you like it, fine. If you don't like it, you can change it. But I'd say that, look, the developers sometimes do a good job at it. At least initial stages. It's an investment property. You're not going to live there. So just get what you've got and enhance it by customizing the property for yourself. So in terms of the furniture, the sofas and the TV and all the stuff that make up the property, you have to think about the cost of it. If I were you, and what I did was, when I was buying 3 apartments in one of the luxury developments in Accra, and of course when I was doing Douglas Court, I'm actually shooting this from Douglas Court, when I was thinking of furnishing, I'm not an artist. I'm just a plain bogged down standard accountant who happened to have a good passion in real estate. So what I did was I designed every apartment with the sofa colors I wanted and the beds. And I came to Ghana and I got them to make the sofas for me. And that's what I did. And that's exactly what I did. And so the furniture and appliance, you just look at it. And some of those as well, the apartments, of course, are imported from England. But if I knew what I know now, I will never import anything from overseas to Ghana. Because everything is here. In Africa, everything is there. It's cheaper and of the same, almost the same quality, because the people bringing it, they bring it in bulk in containers, and so the price is cheaper, the clearance is cheaper. Whereas you are going to ship 1 or 2 items and then pay the what do you call it, the shipping cost and the clearance is just a hassle. The next thing in the furnishing cost is interior design. Interior design makes the place pop up. It makes the place go wow. Interior designing is not the furniture and the appliance. It's the furniture is part of the interior design, but interior design, the way the whole place is set up, that is what makes somebody go in and they go wow. I keep saying that when people go into my apartments, Douglas Luxury Apartments at Douglas Court or Douglas Luxury Apartment at the Greens in Tema or Douglas Luxury Apartments at the Signature, I want people to go in and go wow. Interior decoration gives them that wow factor. It gives your apartment the wow factor. So you need not necessarily shell out an arm and a leg. Look for simplicity, nice, simple things that are less costly. And then, of course, there's the utilities. If you're buying an apartment, the developer would include the electricity, the water, and all of those things, security, all of that will be part of it. So you would have to look at that one as well. The third cost is operational cost. If you're going to be running a short-term rental, cleaning and maintenance, you need to have people who do the cleaning. You can use your family, you can use your mom if she's alive and you want her to be part of your business. I had cleaning staff I was managing, but then we decided to outsource the cleaning to a cleaning company. They station people in our apartments and they do a good job. If they don't do a good job, I call them up to book and I discuss it with them. And so they're doing a good job. Again, utility costs, electricity, I've talked about it. And then property management fees. Let me talk about this one a little more in detail. Here in England, we call this service charges. Service charges. And in Ghana, they call it camp fees. I'm yet to find out what camp fees. I'm yet to find out. Even me, I don't know. Camp fees. I think it's to do with some terminology. Management fees. So I'll let you know later on. Yeah, so service charges. These here. Developers in Africa, particularly Ghana, tend to think that they can make profits out of it. Service charges is not to be a profitable enterprise. So they bring out a management company, a management company. They set up a management company within the development to manage the service charges, the security, the lighting, the generator if there's no lights, the cleaning and all of that stuff. And to my surprise and chagrin, for the developments I bought in Ghana, these are priced in dollars. A 2-bed is $300. No, a 2-bed is $250. And a 1-bed is $180 a month. And they're just almost about to increase it without even consultation with the home residents. You know, I worked as a finance director in a real estate company. And service charges were one of the key things that we dealt with when we did developments. And we usually had residents becoming board members on our board so that we could discuss this. They were representatives. The development that I'm in at the moment, they have created a home ownership association, but they barely discuss the expenditure from the previous year of service charge, the income and expenditure. They barely discuss it. They'll just throw the figures at you and say we are increasing it without necessarily going into detail about the components of the expenditure and income that they've generated. It's amazing. So if you are going to buy a real estate property in Africa, Ghana, and it's a development company within a state, make sure you know much about the management fees or what we call service charges, so that you are not taken by surprise, because they look to make profits from you on this one. This is not, the management company is not supposed to make profit. The management company is supposed to collect service charges to maintain the property, to break even. And sometimes they can reduce the service charges going forward because they have efficiently manage the resources. A management company that consistently increases service charges or camp fees is not managing the resources from the homeowners efficiently. Take that from me. That is gospel. The fourth cost is marketing. Marketing, of course, you have to list your properties, marketing and listing on Airbnb. You have to sign up. You have to pay Airbnb fees. You have to pay Booking.com. Booking.com is charging about 23%. So if it's $100 per night, Booking.com takes 23% out of that. So what are you left with? You're left with $77 for every $100 that booking. So it's expensive. Airbnb may take about 18%, VRBO and all of those things, they take a different. So yes, you need to think about that as well. And then the service fees, we've talked about that. And photography, I keep saying that you've spent so much money buying a property. Why do you not invest in professional photography? Yes, I can use my mobile phone and take those photographs, but they will not last. They become hazy after some time. So I invest in pure professional photography to come take my properties, so that I can list them, because you do not have a second chance to make a first impression. Your property does not have a second chance to make a first impression. You want, when somebody's looking for a property in Clarendon in Jamaica, or in Mombasa in Kenya, or anywhere in wherever you come from, they need to look and say, wow, there has to be an attraction. There has to be that fatal attraction of your photography that brings them to you so that they can spend time. People don't have that attention span. Long attention span is not there. TikTok is calling them. Facebook is calling them. Instagram is calling them. Email is calling them. Phone call is calling them. WhatsApp is calling them. So they don't have a lot of time to be looking at photographs. They only get attracted to the one that really invites them. And if your photography is crap, then you are likely not to get a lot of people going into your property and booking. The next one is advertisements. We advertise on billboards in our local area, but we also try and use TikTok marketing and social media marketing to boost our marketing. So all of those, Google, Facebook, they all cost money. So you need to look at this as well. Sometimes, if you cannot do it yourself, you can just use agencies or marketing agencies and get somebody on Fiverr or Upwork or wherever you can find them, pay them some fee, and then they become your virtual assistant, helping you to do all of this. And that is what we do. Finally, the last costing to acquiring a property investment in Africa or the Caribbean is the regulatory and compliance issues like licensing. You know, when I started Airbnb in England around about 2016, 2017, Airbnb was just a free fall for everybody. Later on, they said the government had noticed because we were preventing local authorities from renting properties from us landlords to tenants, because I had properties that I rented to my local authority on a lease basis. And now I didn't do that. I was renting it myself on Airbnb, so we were preventing the local authority from renting the properties to the tenants. And so we're in competition with local authorities. So obviously they go behind our back and get the government to come in and say, okay, if you're doing Airbnb, then the taxes have to be XYZ. So Airbnb, even in Ghana now, they have started thinking about, not thinking, they've put in place ways to tax people who are in short-term rental. Taxes and licensing. Make sure you've got the right acquisition. If you are operating in a country that is heavily regulated in terms of compliance, you need to make sure that wherever you are renting your properties, you have the license to do so. And insurance. You must make sure that you have insurance to cover your property. If you're already in a development, then the service charge of camp fee will take care of that. But even that will take charge of the insurance. But even that, you might want to do content insurance. Content insurance, and all sorts of insurances. So I would ask you to research the type of insurance that you will need to be able to make sure that your short-term rental property investment in Africa or the Caribbean works well for you. And folks, this is where I'm going to end it. These are the 5 key costs associated with property investment in Africa and the Caribbean. Acquisition costs, the furnishing and setup, operational costs. I want you to watch on service charges here, and then the marketing costs, guest acquisition and all of that, and then the regulatory and compliance within where your property is going to be. Take care. If you are looking to turn your property in Africa and the Caribbean, you can contact me at douglasoppong.com. You can go to my website and we will have you and the team have a conversation. And if you're a good fit, we'll be able to work with you. Take care.